In recent years, weight loss has become a hot topic in Nigeria, with rising awareness of health risks associated with obesity such as diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. More Nigerians are actively seeking ways to manage their weight. To combat this, many Nigerians are turning to structured meal plans, high-protein diets, and portion-controlled eating. But how many know how to go about it the right way? Hello and welcome to Healthy Living on Trust TV. I am Aisha Salihu. Thank you so much for joining us. And today we are diving into a topic that's gaining significant attention across Nigeria: weight loss. We will be looking at integrating Nigerian foods with modern nutritional strategies. There is a growing preference for high-protein meals in Nigeria, as protein is known for its ability to promote satisfaction, reduce cravings, and support muscle retention. However, a major challenge remains. Nigerian cuisine is traditionally carbohydrate-heavy. Staples such as rice, yam, garri, fufu, and plantain dominate most meals. This has led to a critical question: can these starchy foods still be part of a weight loss plan? And now joining us, we have a nutritionist and a dietitian, Muo Immaculata. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the program.
Thank you for having me.
Let me just start off with, is it possible to lose weight on Nigerian meals? I just listed a variety of Nigerian meals.
Yes, it is very, very possible to lose weight on a Nigerian meal. 100% possible. It's just knowing the right quantity to eat at every point in time.
Okay, kindly walk us through it. You know, we talked about Nigerian food being dominated by starchy foods. So you said knowing the right quantity and the kind of meal to eat. Just walk us through starchy foods, the right quantity, and the kind of meals to eat.
Okay, so generally, when you're talking about a weight loss diet, we focus mostly on moderation. Moderation is something we talk about in all meals: moderation and portion control. So you have to consume each of these carbohydrate foods moderately. Even though the body needs carbohydrates to perform basic functions, we still need to consume them moderately. And then what you're pairing the carbohydrates with also matters. What kind of protein are you pairing it with? A high-fat meal or just your vegetables? So what you pair your foods with as well also matters. And then the cooking method, how you actually prepare those food, can also contribute to the calorie intake or the carbohydrate level of the food.
Immaculata, I couldn't help but come up with this area where some people would just choose to, they want to lose weight. I want to hear from you. Is this something that is a matter of choice, or they have to first of all hear from, say, a doctor telling them the need to lose weight? Or I just want us to, walk around that and let us establish why you should lose weight and at what point one should lose weight and how they go about it.
Okay, all right. So there is something called body mass index, that's BMI. So the BMI is a status that helps us know when one is overweight, underweight, or obese. So when you check your BMI and you realize that you're tending towards the overweight category or obese category, then you definitely need to lose weight in order to maintain a healthy lifestyle generally. Okay, so you don't really need to go to a doctor. You don't need to wait for a doctor to tell you need to lose weight. Once you do your yearly or monthly health check and then your BMI says that you're in the overweight level, then you definitely need to consider losing weight.
Now, you talked about moderation. You did say that there is nothing wrong with consuming the kind of food we have in Nigeria. It's more of, we have more intake of carbohydrate. It's just about moderation and what we pair them with. But then we do know that portion control is key in weight loss. But Nigerian culture often emphasizes on large servings. How then can people adjust their eating habits without feeling deprived?
Okay. So people can generally maintain moderation or portion control. One basic tip to doing this is eating with a smaller plate. Minding the eating with a smaller plate, right? So instead of using the regular big plates where the little food that you are about to eat or the portion that you are supposed to eat will look super small in that plate, use smaller plates and smaller bowls. And then secondly, try to eat your foods well, eat them properly. Don't eat in a rush, don't rush your meals, eat them properly, savor the taste, and then that way you are able to not feel it that much. And then what you are also combining with the meal, the vegetables, the choice of proteins as well. So all this will help in portion control.
I was actually going to come to what we're combining our foods with. I mean, you did talk about it earlier that there's nothing wrong with consuming carbohydrate. It's just about what we combine them with. And then we have also established portion control. So I'd like for you to walk us through in the issue or area of weight loss. And one is looking to consume foods that are mostly starchy, even with portion control. What other additives or what other things or food, part of the classes of food that we can add just to aid and also aid the weight loss journey?
Okay, all right. So one principle that I would always teach or preach is there is a my plate that would usually describing what your plate of food should always look like. So a plate of food should have like a quarter of your plate having the proteins, the other quarter, that's where the carbohydrates would be, and then the other half of your plate would now be left with our vegetables and fruits. So the idea is to always make sure that all these are available in your plate of food at every point in time. So that way we are maintaining portion, we are encouraging variety, and we are making sure that we are having a balanced meal, because the goal or the idea of healthy eating, weight loss or whatever is still a balanced meal at the end of the day.
Thank you so much for establishing that. But then again, you'd agree with me that, just like I stated earlier, high protein diets are gaining popularity. You'd go to the market now, you see a lot of people wanting to buy more protein based food, but are they sustainable for the average Nigerian, and how can one balance cost and accessibility?
Okay, having a high protein diet, it's not really sustainable for everyone, yes, because of the high cost of some protein in the market these days. So I would advise that when we would want to go for a high protein diet, because of all its benefits, we can always go for the cost-effective proteins such as the beans and the eggs and the lentils as well. And then it is also very important to reach out to a registered dietitian for personalized guidance.
I like the fact that you stated out the personalized guidance, because a lot of Nigerians out there, some of them would just want to go on their diet plan by themselves, maybe read something up online, and then they start to implement that. But earlier you talked about how at a serving, when you're serving your food, there should be an element of carbohydrate, your fruits, your protein and all that. Now this now brings me to my next line of question. I know you're not an economist, but I know you'd still find a way around to answer this question. You'd agree with me that the cost of living in Nigeria at the moment is really high, and for some people they can't even afford to eat 3 square meals per day. You can just see 101 or 100 or 001. It depends on the kind of plan that they are on. So if you're advising that we should make sure that our plate has, protein, carbohydrate in the different portions, and it should be present there for us to maintain the nutritive standard and also the balanced diet. How then does an average Nigerian home, how do they afford this, and how do they maintain their nutritional balance?
Okay, so we have some locally available meals, so we don't have to always go for the high-end cost of vegetables and other food sources. So you can always go for the locally available and accessible foods that we have that will still provide us with all those carbohydrates, proteins, vegetables and fruits. And then when we come to the vegetables and fruits, there are usually periods of time when we have some certain fruits in season and some certain vegetables in season. And whenever these foods are in season, they are usually way cheaper than they would be if you want to get them other times. So focusing on those group of foods during that period would actually help in reducing the cost and also ensuring that you keep eating healthy and maintaining a healthy plate.
I understand you when you say we should look at foods that are in season, but then what's your take on having our own gardens, growing our own food? How do you think that would also affect our nutritional standard and also in the journey of weight loss or weight gain?
I think having a homegrown garden is like an amazing thing to have these days, because once you know that you have these vegetables available in your garden, then it is super easy to always have access to them, which means you've reduced accessibility, you've reduced affordability, or you've increased affordability. So it is easily affordable because you're not buying it anymore. It's just in your garden, right? So having a home garden is like a very amazing thing to do, and it is something that we even encourage generally.
Okay, Immaculata, now I just want to hear from you. We are very familiar with the most common source of protein, which is, we know that for protein there is always either chicken, turkey, fish, or beef, or what, and the likes, yeah, meat. But I just want to hear from you, for those families, for homes who cannot afford these sources of protein, what would you say should be the alternative that they can easily get?
Okay. Aside the animal-based proteins, we also have some plant-based proteins that are also easily accessible to the general public. So we have the beans and the beans family. We have some other nuts and seeds that are super rich in proteins as well, like the tiger nut milk, the almonds, and other various nuts that could also benefits one for a healthy meal or high protein diet. Okay,
Immaculata, it's just very recently that we now see more Nigerians coming out to buy vegetables, buy fruits, and because the awareness is now on ground that, you know, you should consume greens, you should consume vegetables, you should consume fruits, just, you know, just as a way of sending the message right. Tell us why it's important for us to consume these greens and what they do to our body, and also fruits.
Okay. Fruits and vegetables are super packed and super loaded with vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and fiber. Now, this fiber helps to improve satiety, it helps to improve GIT motility, and then it also helps to keep one generally fit and generally healthy. So including all these fruits and vegetables in our meals have all these basic functions to provide. Like a chunk of our vitamins and minerals would usually come from the plant sources, and that's mostly our vegetables and our fruits.
Okay, thank you so much for you know, your insights. But then I just want to hear from you. What would you say are some common mistakes people make when trying to lose weight? Remember, we're still talking about weight loss.
Okay. I think one of the major mistakes that people do is to solely depend on fad diets.
Okay.
Right? Going for just fad diets, quick fixes, diets that will just give them a very quick weight loss, and it is not usually very sustainable, and it might not be affordable for a long period of time. Another mistake is thinking that exercise alone is going to help with the weight loss. So they just focus on exercise and not pay so much attention to their diet. Then another thing is, I think also ignoring lifestyle changes, like staying hydrated, increasing physical activity, stress management, and sleep, because all these contribute to how much a person is able to lose weight.
Thank you so much. It's Healthy Living on Trust Television, and we are looking at ways one can maintain a good weight and even lose weight on a Nigerian meal diet. Let's go on a break. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. It's still Healthy Living on Trust TV. I am your host, Aisha Salihu, and we still have our dietitian in the house as we keep our conversation on integrating Nigerian foods with modern nutritional strategies. Muo Immaculata is still here. And now, Muo, let me pick your brain on this. What would you say are the biggest misconceptions Nigerians have about dieting and weight loss?
Okay. The biggest misconception that I would say Nigerians have would be that thinking that dieting is starvation or starving. Yeah, because once you hear, oh, I'm dieting, you just know that, okay, we're not eating some certain foods, or there are some foods that are forbidden. No, you cannot eat this food. That is a big misconception. Another misconception would probably be to think or not be mindful of what you're eating, like not knowing exactly what you're eating and just thinking that, okay, you could just exercise alone without minding what you're eating at the end of the day and be able to still maintain or lose weight properly.
Okay, so what about the issue of starvation? I've seen a number of people that would tell you, because they are on a weight loss journey, they are then mistaking intermittent fasting for starvation. So I'd like for you to run us through the advantage of intermittent fasting, and also, I don't know if there is actually an advantage to starvation regarding weight loss.
Okay. When it comes to starvation, starvation is when there is really no food to eat. So you're not intentionally skipping a meal, but just because there's no food available. But fasting is that you're choosing not to eat at a certain point in time. So when it is intermittent fasting, that means there are certain times during the day that you've decided you're not going to eat a meal, while there are certain times during the day that you can actually eat a meal. So there are different forms and different types of intermittent fasting. So it's just finding out the best method or the best style of intermittent fasting that would suit you. And it's also okay to note that it is not everyone that can engage in intermittent fasting, especially based on some health conditions. So it's also good to be able to start slow. Start with the smallest type of fasting and then work your way up if you decide that you would want to introduce intermittent fasting as a means to weight loss.
Okay, so what then is the effect of intermittent fasting and starvation? You did say starvation is not something that one chooses to do. It's because there is the availability of food is not there. But for intermittent fasting is what they have chosen to do. So how do these two affect weight loss?
Okay, when it comes to starvation, you've not prepared your mind that you are not going to have food. It's just like waking up in the morning and then you don't see food. So in starvation, your mind is ready to eat, but just because there's no food, your body would begin to burn more fat, and then it is more detrimental because you are not prepared for that. But in fasting, you're more prepared. Your mind is available. You've told yourself that, okay, I'm going to fast for today, so I'm going to be eating my meal at so time. So it's actually easier to manage than when it comes to starvation.
Okay, then now let us look at we're in an average Nigerian society. I mean, you have come across online vendors who would sell weight loss teas. You have seen that. I mean, we talked about it earlier, where you see people posting online, talking about you need to consume this particular herb, this tea, that tea, combining with something, and eventually you have a weight loss, especially for women who are looking to lose weight, say people looking to lose the tummy weight, or say the weight in their arm or any other part of their body. There's that recent trend now of people going online to sell tea and people going online to purchase tea. However, I know that there's been some medical advice against that we should be cautious of some of these things that we consume because of its resultant damage to the body organs. But I just want to hear from you. These people who do this, how effective do you think they are towards weight loss journey for people who patronize them, and is it really advisable?
Okay, using teas is not like 100% advisable in terms of weight loss. I think the best method of weight loss would still be a low-calorie diet and then increasing physical activity.
Yeah. Okay, I agree with you there. But then again, what would you say are some traditional Nigerian weight loss friendly foods that people often overlook?
Okay, I think one of the traditional meals that people would always overlook is our local vegetables.
Okay.
Like the ugu, the bitter leaves, the water leaves. All these are very healthy, high fiber options that would also provide us with a good number of vitamins and minerals, and as well as antioxidants. But we would always overlook it and would always be looking at the other vegetables like maybe broccolis, kale, which are always sometimes not very affordable and not usually always available or accessible within among the regular Nigerians.
So in a nutshell, you're advising that Nigerians should consume more of our local vegetables, say the ones we grow in our gardens or the ones we can easily get in the marketplace.
Yes, yes.
So how then do we preserve these vegetables? Because you'd also agree with me that sometimes when you purchase these vegetables, you just, like during the Harmattan season, and then you carelessly drop these vegetables on the kitchen slab or something, and then you come back, you see that it's shrunk. Something like that. It's no longer as fresh as it was when you purchased it. So let us look at preservation.
So vegetables are usually perishable goods, right? So their shelf life is not very long. So the idea is to make sure you buy as much as you can consume within a day or two, or mostly 3 days, because that's usually how long it will take before it will start getting bad. And then another way is to also avoid leaving them in moist areas, because very moist area would also encourage it to start getting rotten or getting bad. Yeah, so preventing them being in rotten areas, and then also keeping them in a cool place. So if you have all these Ziploc bags. You can clean your vegetables properly, put them in that, seal it up completely, and then leave them in the fridge. So they would usually stay a few days before you are able to consume them.
Immaculata, I know we talked about intermittent fasting earlier, but this is just my last question to you regarding intermittent fasting. Is intermittent fasting a good option for Nigerians looking to lose weight, given our typical meal structures as Nigerians?
Okay. Intermittent fasting has been proven to be a good way to lose weight because it actually facilitates weight loss. But now, just like I mentioned earlier, there are different types of intermittent fasting. There is alternate day fast. There is, like I've mentioned, intermittent fasting is when you are eating for a certain time of the day and you are fasting for a certain time of the day. So we have 24 hours in a day. So sometimes it could be 10-14. So you are fasting for 10 hours and you are eating for the other 14 hours. It could be 14-10, it could be 16-8, which is the most common one. So the idea is to start with the smaller number and then keep working your way up. And then also make sure that you do that under the supervision of a health practitioner or a dietitian, just to provide you that personal guidance, just in case you're wondering where to start from or how to start. But yes, it is a very good and effective way to lose weight. It's just knowing exactly how to do it and which to start with and how to do it sustainably.
Indeed, regarding weight loss, one must first of all take caution and precaution from, a health expert in that particular field. Thank you so much, Muo Immaculata, for your insights and input on this particular episode of the program.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And to our viewers, remember, by making strategic modifications, traditional meals can still fit into a modern weight loss plan while remaining delicious and culturally relevant. And that concludes this week's episode of the program, Healthy Living on Trust TV. Remember to stay hydrated, stay safe, and stay moisturized. For comments, contributions, and suggestions, do well to follow and subscribe to all Trust TV social media handles. Download the Trust TV app on iOS and Android devices across their respective stores and get live updates on the YouTube live stream and the website. I'm Aisha Salihu. Thank you so much for your time. We will be leaving you with some facts in weight loss on a Nigerian diet.